Hey guys, it's Spaces Sims, and we are back with more Paradigm Paradox. About to start skipping because we're getting our new route today. We are starting Rio's route. Woo! Well, not really the last route because we have to do the finale or whatever after his. So, it's don't know. Even though that theme song is it's a fucking bang, guys. It's so goddamn good. I love it. Oh, I love it so much. I'm so sad that I can't find it on like Amazon or anywhere to like listen to. But I one time sat here and I recorded the entire intro and I made a video, so I have it in my folder so I can just pop it on and listen to it when I'm not okay, there it is. When I'm not, playing the game. Because as one of you kindly told me that, yes, the base game music is in here, and I can listen to the song, because I was like, why can't I find the fucking thing? No, not the base game, the movies. I'm like, oh, it was just not where I expected it to be. Because I'm just dumb, apparently. Anyway, we go to the hallway. For Rio. Oh, you're right, he's villainous justice, of course. I'll just wander around campus. I should run into one of the girls, right? Hey, isn't it? He's just right, because we don't know that Rio is the fairy yet, right? It's the maintenance fairy, and I can see his whole face. Isn't that rare? Wait, is he coming this way? You there? Yes? Move aside. I need to get through here. Oh, sorry. He must be fixing the vending machine. Oh, the fairy spoke to me again. I guess that's good luck for 2 weeks. I love how we think Rio is a fairy. Oh, Rio. Yeah, I don't think we've met him as part of the Blooms yet. We haven't had him come in. And like, oh wait, it's the maintenance fairy. Because otherwise we wouldn't call him fairy, we would have his name. There he is. Okay. And that's where he gets a name. So. And we go to the hallway again. Okay. Oh, there's the fairy. Rio. Wait, I'm not supposed to talk to him, but he's coming this way. Do I ignore him? No! Making weird faces at me isn't cool. Are you supposed to be talking to me? Oh, are you supposed to be talking to me? It's more like the way she should have. I'm talking to you is far less conspicuous than your impromptu panic attack. Act normal. Right. Act normal? What counts as normal? I really hate all this secrecy. Sorry. That is literally the funniest thing, though. Act normal. What's normal? It's like, especially when you're in like, oh god, what do I do? Act normal. I don't know what normal is anymore. It's kind of like when you're angry and someone's like, calm down. And you're like, never in the history of calm down has anybody calmed the fuck down when being told to calm down. You know what I mean? You're like, that is the worst thing to say when somebody's in a tizzy over anything, right? Calm down. I'll calm you down, motherfucker. You know what I mean? It never fucking works. But it's like the same thing here when you're like, oh god, I don't know what to do. Do I talk to them? Do I not talk to them? What do I do? Do I push the button, not push the button? And you're freaking out and it's like, act normal. I don't know what that means anymore. If I knew what acting normal meant at this point, I would be doing it, but I clearly have forgotten. I don't know why that's so funny. Oh god. Alright, now we can skip. Typing away to Uncle. I know we could just skip, like, to the next choice, but this gives you a little refresher on shit that's going down, so. Right, fighting vectors. Okay. Thinking about Lizzie. Yes, thank you. Villainous justice route, he gives our blood away. Let's see, where do we go here? Oh, outer wall. Okay, that makes sense. Because that's where the villainous justice thing, the other thing is splitting up the Blooms. Here we go to these boys. Okay. I wonder if we say maybe vectors this time. Nope, I don't know. Okay, because there is a finale route, so maybe vectors is... Maybe vectors is the part of the grand finale. Because I think there's a grand finale But they do the regular justice and the villainous justice route or whatever. You know what I mean? So I think it splits and there's two different kind of finale routes. So maybe we choose that in one of them. I would assume the villainous justice one, but let's see. I'm worried about Lizzie. That makes sense because we're still doing. Okay, yeah, this is where we get our villainous justice and we attack them head on. All right. All right. I'm assuming it's I can't save Lizzie again. Yeah, okay. Yeah, those other two choices are pointless. We never even picked them as like a... Well, again, maybe in the things. I'm assuming we go to the academy. That's new. Okay, that's after we did the one thing, remember, was like, new choice was unlocked. And I'm like, huh? Because Rio's route unlocks after you finish Ibuki's. So this was not there the last time. So yeah, go to the academy. Report obtained. Thinking about where I was most likely to find Moravia, I decided to try the courtyard where we first met. There aren't many people at the academy today, and when we first met it was almost deserted, so maybe she'll be here again. Moravia, you can come out if you're here. I hadn't really expected a response to my mumbling question, but someone did reply. Who are you looking for? Oh, is it a CG? Oh, see what I'm saying? Like, he could be really pretty, but the hair just isn't working. You know what I mean? Like, there's just something about also where are your... Oh, right, he's dressed as a maintenance fairy, so he doesn't have glasses on. But you know what I mean? Like, if his hair was just a little different, a little floofier, a little something, you know, maybe a little bit more... have a little bit more volume to it. You know, something. There's just something that's a little like, it's lacking a little, which is unfortunate. Rio, what are you doing here? I do maintenance. It's my job to be here. And the real question is, why are you here? I heard you mention Moravia's name. Are you looking for her? I broke out in a cold sweat under Rio's sharp glare. He's allied with the Blooms, so there's no way he'd let me meet Moravia. I'm not trying to reprimand you, but you look pretty desperate, so I'm wondering why you're trying to find Moravia. Well, I didn't expect him to say that. I stared at Rio, but couldn't quite tell what he was thinking. That's true, she doesn't know he's a double agent yet. Rio, do you know where my friend is? I don't think she's at a hospital. My guess is that Lizzie and the others were taken someplace secret, and I'm not supposed to know about it. And what makes you think that? Mr. Kunomori wouldn't say which hospital she was at, so I asked around town and I heard that none of the injured were taken to any of the hospitals. I see. I admit I didn't expect you to figure that out all by yourself. I changed the subject in an attempt to avoid Rio probing any further. Then you know where Lizzie is? I do. I was also given instructions to help you if you started looking for Moravia. What? You need to come with me if you want to help your friend. So what'll it be? There was only one thing I could say when put like that. Fuck yeah, take me anywhere. I understand. I'll go with you. I didn't fully trust him, but I wasn't about to lose this valuable lead. The way he said that, is Rio somehow connected with Moravia? But then he'd be allied with the Vectors. He was like, I feel like he's his own entity. He's like, I'm helping the Blooms, but I'm helping the Vectors, but I'm just helping myself. I don't know, you know what I mean? Maybe there's a third side to this coin we didn't know about. And I can't believe Lizzie would be here. Are you sure Lizzie and the others were taken to the research district? They need medical treatment. This doesn't make any sense. And you'll understand when you see for yourself. And just go in this room. I like how he was like, come with me. Wait, let me change it on my jumpsuit. Put my glasses back on. You know what I mean? I mean, like, in his sprite, there's really not anything. I guess when he's doing the research, like, he's got a little more floof to his hair when he's not trying to be, like, maintenance guy, like, flying under the radar. Because, like, the sprite's not too bad. You know what I mean? But, like, I feel like maybe the CG was just a little lackluster, you know what I mean? You're like, eh. But, like, his sprite's not terrible. But, like, we'll have to see. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of like half, like, you could be, like, they're, like, this is fine. You got the suit on and the glasses, which help a lot. But I also do feel like there's something lacking. There's a little muchiness that he's missing. You know what I mean? Just to bring him from like a 7 to a 10. You know? Like, he's not bad, though. Could be worse. Like, there's some characters you're like, not my type. You know? I guess all of them, like, every single one of them has had, like, a sprite where you're like, you kind of, like the Muppet sprite, where you're like, no, this one scares me. You look like a puppet or a Muppet, and I'm not here for it. You know what I mean? And then have really good versions of their sprites, even if they're not your favorite characters. You know? Like, I don't personally think Hyuga's he's not my type at all. But, like, some of his sprites were pretty, and some of his CGs were nice. So, like, I could understand if you were, like, totally into him. You know, there's other characters when you play games that you're like, yeah, no, you're just not feeling it all, you know? Like, Hyuga and Yukonami would be that for me. Like, I don't think Hyuga's bad. And I think his route was okay. You know what I mean? But, like... And Yukonami's not my type because he's got a little baby face. But also, he's a psychopath. And not in the good kind of psycho way. Like, this a little, like, I'm not so sure about this psycho. You know? Ryo's kind of in the middle right now. Like, I'm intrigued. I'm interested in your route enough. Kind of disturbed that a man your age is interested in a teenage girl. But, like, you know what? Whatever. You could just be, like, really fucked up. And, like, demented. And then maybe that'll make it okay. I don't know. We'll see. But he's not attractive. CG wasn't the best, but, like, his sprite's okay. I just don't know how I feel about him, you know what I mean? But I guess it's because he's just been an enigma and he's just kind of there. And he's really got no personality. He's kind of like a cardboard box right now. He's very cardboard. So that's what it is. Like, I'm going to need you to step up and start actually, like, insulting me and being a raging douchehole, because that's what I like. Anyway. These are all the injured people. But wait. It looked like all the people were being restrained instead of treated for their injuries. The scene was shocking enough, but then Ryo told me something even more astounding. Or astonishing. Anyone injured by a vector eventually turns into one. These people are being kept unconscious and restrained until they turn. They'll turn into vectors? What are you even saying? I'm saying your guess was correct. People turn into vectors isn't exactly convenient. I couldn't prove it to you, but then your friend would become one. Oh, I could prove it to you. I'm sorry. And I read that all wrong. People turning into vectors isn't exactly convenient. Sorry. I could prove it to you, but then your friend would become one. There was no way I could take what he said at face value. Is he telling the truth? It's all so sudden. I just can't believe it. And see, like this sprite, when you've got the way his hair's parted, there's something wrong with that. Like a floof in the front. Something about your hair. Just the 3/4 profile is good though, because then your hair doesn't look as weird. I think it's the hair that's throwing me off. You know what I mean? Also, the fact that he kind of almost doesn't look like he has eyebrows. Like he looks like he has none. Like there are, like you could see he's got eyebrows, but they're very, like almost non-existent. So there's just too much forehead going on. Like, but he doesn't have a big forehead. But there's just something about the hair and the lack of eyebrows. I don't know what it is. Is it just me? Or are you like, there's something going on? Like, you could be so much better. But they did you slightly dirty, is all I'm saying. But there were many more pressing matters than verifying Ryo's claims. I refocused on the task at hand. I'm going to find Lizzie and get her out of here. I know that at the very least she shouldn't stay here. Yes, that would be the best. That would be for the best. I moved through all the people lying down and soon found who I was looking for. Lizzie, are you okay? They're knocked out, remember? Here, it'd be better to give her this than force her awake. Ryo pulled out a syringe when he saw me attempting to wake Lizzie. Is that medicine? Yes, it contains antibodies that'll stop the vector transformation. After explaining, he swiftly injected the contents of the syringe into Lizzie. See, and here's the thing. He's the one who somehow made this antibody and everything. So, like, you know, it's like... So that's... Nobody knows he's doing this, and, like, he's just here, but it's not like he's not supposed to be here, like... And he works with Misaki, so, like, I'm really curious. Like, you obviously know your shit, so, like... How into this research are you, you know? We better hurry and move her before someone finds us. I assume you also intend not to get caught. I still didn't fully trust Ryo. Why would he even help me? There were so many things I didn't understand, but I already decided I'd do anything to help Lizzie. Yeah, We can't get caught. I'll take Lizzie and get out of here. Me dragging her. My own decisions, Lizzie's safety, the fact that I'm going with the enemy, it's a lot to consider. But I can't stay stuck in the same place. Little by little, I began to relax. There's no turning back. I've made my choice, and I have to keep moving forward. Rio and I rushed Lizzie away from the research district, hurrying to the outer wall. He led us quite skillfully. Rio knew about the camera's blind spots and even the security guard's patrol routes. Yeah, I mean... But he's also helping the vectors, so, we've made it this far thanks to him. But who is he exactly? That's the question. I snuck a glance over at Rio as he carried Lizzie and wondered about his background.
Hey, hide over there.
Right. Following Rio's directions, I hid myself behind a pillar near the outer wall. Rio took a good look around the area before also hiding himself from sight.
All right, we're not being followed. If we made it this far, we should be okay.
Rio sighed, slid Lizzie off his shoulder, and placed her gently on the ground. Thank you. For carrying Lizzie this far, I mean.
It was the sensible thing. Better than having you do it.
Rio was slightly out of breath. Rio doesn't have any special abilities. He's just a regular guy. Not exactly, though! We don't really know. I mean, he's not just a regular guy, and we just don't know what kind of abilities he has because he can breathe outside without a suit. So, that's a special ability. That could be the extent of it, but no wonder he's so tired from carrying her. I was the one who wanted to save Lizzie, but I couldn't do anything. I felt terrible that someone had to strain themselves for me.
Stay put for a bit. We'll wait for reinforcements.
Reinforcements? It appeared we were done running and now just waiting for someone to show up.
We've done all we can for now. If I were you, I'd take this chance to rest.
Rio sat on the ground. I hesitated momentarily, then sat next to Lizzie. I looked at her. She was still sound asleep. Her face, usually alight with happiness, looked like it belonged to a corpse. But she's alive. I had to be thankful for small miracles. I reached out and touched Lizzie's hand. Rio said if we didn't help her, she'd turn into a vector. Is that really something that could happen? If so, I wonder if the antibodies Lizzie got will really work. The scene back at the research district had been odd. All I knew was that I couldn't leave Lizzie there. My gut told me if I did, something bad would happen. Yeah, she'd turn into a vector and you'd have to literally punch her to death. But what Rio told me was so shocking, I still found it hard to believe. He's supposed to support the Blooms, but he's been in contact with the other side. Why would he help me out then? He must have some ulterior motive. The more I thought about it, the less sure I became about following him. But right now he's the only chance I have to save Lizzie.
Huh.
Rio suddenly snorted with laughter, pulling me away from my thoughts. What's so funny?
Nothing. Just the sour, distrustful expression on your face when you look at me. It's pretty funny.
I hadn't realized I was staring at him. I guiltily looked away. Sorry.
I don't blame you for not trusting me. But I was asked to help you, so that's what I'll do.
Huh? Who asked you? But before Rio could answer... Sorry to keep you waiting. I heard a familiar voice from above. I looked up in surprise. The figure that leapt down from the building was the same person I'd been looking for earlier. Moravia! I see. It must have been Moravia who asked Rio to help me.
You were exactly 5 minutes late.
Rio glanced at his watch as he spoke. Moravia just shrugged as if asking, So what do you want from me? Rio scowled, but said nothing more. Perhaps he never really expected Moravia to show up on time anyway. Moravia walked toward us wearing her usual smile. Hi, you look well. Yeah. I wasn't sure how to respond to that, so I just nodded. Then Rio chimed in.
You probably guessed, but it was Moravia who asked me to help.
But why would Moravia ask you?
You can ask her later. Right now we need to get far from Theta.
Rio got to his feet and dusted himself off before looking around and addressing Moravia.
Moravia, take this girl away. And be quick.
Rio pointed to Lizzie, who was still unconscious. Huh? Sounds like he expects Moravia to carry Lizzie. Moravia looked pretty delicate. She was shorter and slighter than Lizzie, so how was she supposed to carry her? Maybe Rio's too tired to carry Lizzie any further. Still, Moravia can't handle her alone. Moravia, I'll help too. It's a job for 2 people, isn't it? But Moravia shook her head. Thanks, but I'll be fine on my own. The thing is like, we're not thinking like, oh, Psycho can eat, or you know what I mean? Like picking her up. We see Moravia do it, and obviously Moravia is stronger than us, but you didn't think that you could have done that? Fine, but how? Then Moravia erased my doubts in an instant. Like this. Moravia used her psychokinesis to lift Lizzie's body up in the air and float her over. When Lizzie landed in Moravia's arms, the weight clearly didn't pose an issue for her. I get it. You used psychokinesis to hold her up and lighten the load. No doubt that was easier said than done. It likely required serious training to pull off, but it was easy for Moravia. She was on a different level. It's not that difficult. No doubt you could do it if you tried. All right then, let's get going. Cradling Lizzie in her arms, Moravia jumped over the outer wall in a single leap. I'm going to be left behind. I have to hurry. Before I could transform and follow Moravia, Rio ran up to me and pointed to another route.
Wait, you go that way.
Huh? But Moravia and Lizzie...
If you try to leave in the same direction, you'll risk being spotted. I secured an alternate route for us. Let's go.
Oh, okay. Rio began walking off. Worried about being left behind, I trotted after him. As we walked, I asked him what was on my mind. You're coming with us, Rio?
Yeah, got some business to take care of.
Seems obvious given that Moravia summoned him, but is he really on the Vector side? There were other things I wanted to know, but right now I was more concerned about Lizzie. I decided to hold off on any further questions. Rio led the way until we reached the tradesman's route leading through the wall to the outside. Not really a secret passageway, but not obvious. I doubt many people know about this. Rio seemed to know all about it, though. Just who is he? Once I knew we were headed outside, I transformed. I can't wait till she catches on. Moravia was there waiting for us, still holding Lizzie. She smiled and waved when she saw us. That's everyone. Let's go. Go where? If we're outside, that means... It meant Theta was no longer safe for Lizzie and I. It also meant Moravia and Rio already had an idea for Sanctuary. We're going to my home. You'll be safe there. Wait, you have a home? Thank you. Thank you for saving us. Okay, notes. This is all very similar, and we said some of these exact lines to her before, but... I was still wary, but I couldn't deny that they saved us. It seemed right to give thanks. It's not a problem. So your home, is it far? Not that far. Rio rolled his eyes at that.
No, it's pretty far. Don't make it sound like it's just around the block.
Going by Rio's reaction, I guess he knew where Moravia's home was. How long will it take us to get there? I can't wait for her to clue in this time. I also was not clued in when it was like, wait, Rio's not in a suit. Wait, Rio's not in a suit. Duh, okay. Now I know, though, so now I can call her out for being a derp.
We're looking at half a day's walk with no rest.
That sounds pretty far to me. I never had to walk that kind of distance in Theta. There weren't exactly that many places to go. I was worried about Lizzie making the trip. Moravia and Rio glanced at me as they continued the conversation. I don't think it'll take that long, though.
Yeah, given how you run like a crazy person. But you got normies in tow now.
Half a day's walk won't take that long? She runs like a crazy person? Normies? Moravia doesn't seem to have a clue about the normal human experience, huh? That's when I noticed something odd about both Rio and Lizzie. What is it, though? Both look like they usually do. So why does something feel off? Oh, no, that's exactly it! I felt the blood drain from my face as realization hit me. Wait a second! Are Rio and Lizzie gonna be alright?
What are you on about now?
You can't just walk around outside Theta without putting on protective gear. I love that he was like, he had a little piss face, and now he's like, huh. Now he's got a little smirk face.
Oh, is that all?
Before I could have a complete nervous breakdown, Rio and Moravia explained Lizzie's new Vector-like traits eliminated the need for protective gear. Vector-like traits? That sounds complicated, but as long as Lizzie will be okay. But what about Rio? Rio is human, right? When I asked why he wasn't wearing gear either...
This is plenty.
He lifted his arm to show me his wristwatch. When I looked closer, I spotted something in its face. It was an object that looked a lot like my charm. Told you it was in his watch. They show that in the credit scene in the beginning. In that case, before I could probe for more answers, Rio dropped his arm as if to signal it was time to change the subject. He's like, this is good enough, and you're like, yeah, but that doesn't really explain it, because, like, Ibuki has a charm, so he can transform, and, like, Hyuga and Yukonami also do. Hyuga's isn't his gun. Yukonami might actually be in his eye, because, like, they made a comment in passing about that, but then it was like, he said he didn't need to change, but he does have one. They show in the credit scene, but it looks literally just like like the marble. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. So it's like you don't know. Everybody else has got it somehow added into something, you know? But, like, with Rio, it's like, yeah, but you are like Ibuki where you don't have to transform to be outside. Yukonami and Hyuga also, but it's like, do you have another form? Like, Moravia has, well, like, Ibuki has Moravia, and Yukonami and Hyuga have vector forms. Does Rio have one? Because that's interesting. Anyway. We've got a long journey ahead. Let's move. Rio was clearly done talking, so I just nodded. Although he's actually almost in a different breed, because Hyuga, Yukonami, and Ibuki can all super speed run because they have abilities, and he's like, I can't. Unless he's just hiding it. You know what I mean? Okay, let's go. With that, we started the trek to our destination. Once Theta was a long way behind us, I asked, hey, how much further do we need to go? We're quite a distance from Theta already. I'm barely even halfway there, I'd say. So we still have a long way to go. I glanced at Lizzie in Moravia's arms and was struck by a thought. Moravia's been carrying her this whole time. She's strong, but surely she's getting tired by now. I bet I could carry Lizzie with my powers, too. Moravia, let me take over holding Lizzie. I'll use my psychokinesis. Huh. All right, give it a try. How, though? How do I visualize doing this? I just wanted to make sure I'd do it right, but Moravia looked troubled. Well... You just kinda do it. And just lift her up a bit, keep it light, and don't overthink it. Your explanation's pretty light. And just visualize yourself levitating her into the air. Moravia had clearly mastered using her powers through instinct, and that made it difficult to instruct me. Her advice was cryptic and vague. Rio listened and decided to chip in.
Moravia's powers are instinctive, and that's been good enough so far. It's the kind of thing that's hard to put into words.
I thought I explained things clearly.
No, you absolutely did not.
Well, I'd like to give it a try. I was never officially taught how to use my power when I was in the Blooms. I'm used to being chucked in the deep end and swimming my way out.
And there lies the whole problem with that organization.
Rio muttered to himself, but I couldn't quite make out what he was saying. Moravia gently placed Lizzie on the ground. I concentrated hard and tried to lift her into the air. Lightly, lightly. Visualize. She's a feather. She's a cloud. Lizzie's body gradually lifted off the ground bit by bit, but then she stopped descending. You're being a bit too gentle. You need to ramp up your power. Give it a little more oomph, but not too much oomph that you yeet fucking Lizzie into the sky. Moravia's suggestion was helpful for a change, so I poured a bit more strength into my attempt. Okay, let's try it now. Whoa! I overdid it. Lizzie's body shot up like a rocket. Thankfully, Moravia jumped in and caught Lizzie with her own psychokinesis, sparing Lizzie a messy landing. I eventually got the hang of things, even though it involved some trial and error. In the end, I was able to carry Lizzie by myself.
Oh, good. As the Psychokinesis Club concluded.
Rio sounded tired. Waiting around for me had obviously strained his patience. Yep, everything should be fine now.
And then let's press on.
Right, sorry for the hold-up. We continued walking while I used my psychokinesis to keep Lizzie aloft, yeah. Okay, now he's being crabby and bitchy, so we're getting in... Okay. Start rolling your eyes and calling me an idiot and shit more, because that I'm into that. Then I might like you a little more. Right now I'm neutral on him. Like, I don't dislike him. I don't love him. I don't hate him. You know? We walked and walked some more. Exhaustion hit me halfway through the journey, so Moravia picked up Lizzie again. Rio managed to keep a steady pace. To my surprise, he was barely winded. I'm not surprised Moravia's fine, but Rio's keeping up without a problem. He's a lot stronger than I thought. Maybe he'd done this kind of physical training. I felt like I could learn a thing or two from him. I mean, he does make this trip frequently, so. The world outside seemed endless. I thought Theta was big, but I realized now it was actually tiny. All this terrain is new to me. If I lost my way out here, I'd be toast. What's the code people used when they got lost in the mountains and stuff? We never used it in Theta, so I can't remember the acronym. SOS? That's it! SOS! You're welcome.
What are you calling out SOS for?
Huh? I thought Rio was walking up ahead, but no, he was actually right beside me.
You've been zoned out for a while. I just want to know why you'd blurt out such an ancient acronym.
I felt flustered. I wasn't sure what to say. Is SOS send out search? I have no idea what the acronym is for. That's the only thing I could think of, and I'm like, it makes sort of sense, and I don't know. It's so vast out here.
Vast?
I was just thinking what a big world we live in. I mean, we've walked so far from Theta, but everything just goes on and on. If I got lost, I'd be in big trouble. I was just thinking I'd probably have to call out SOS eventually. I didn't mean to speak out loud.
I see.
Rio squinted as if looking into the distance.
Yeah, the world is pretty huge. But however big you imagine it is, it's far bigger.
Something about Rio's choice of words made my brain hurt. It's literally like, for her, because you're used to living in a little dome, that when you're like, the world outside, the actual Earth itself is vast and huge, to them is kind of like when they're like, the universe never ends. And you're like, logically you know that. You're like, yeah, the universe never ends. But then when you try to like think about the universe like never ending and how that, and it just keep, and how much smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller you get in the Earth just itself gets in the scheme of how vast the universe, you're like, your brain can't handle that. You're like, no, but then it ends. And you're like, no, but it never ends. And you're like, but it, you logically know, but it still hurts to think about. You're like, I can't. What? Like, you know, but you can't. You know? That's basically her right now. She's like, but what? But the thing is, the Earth is finite. You know what I mean? There's a certain circumference. That's it. You walk around the whole thing, you're done. You know what I mean? But it's that same, like her trying to process the size of the Earth from living in that tiny bubble is like trying to process how fucking vast the universe is for normal people. And you're like, I know, but it also hurts your brain to think about. Like, it's like a weird conundrum, you know? Rio, what do you... hate you two? We looked up at Moravia, who'd called out to us. She had stopped some way ahead and had turned back toward us. Am I walking too fast? Should I slow down? Moravia was concerned about us. I raised my voice and answered, no, we're fine. We're right behind you. Moravia started walking again, and I tried to focus on keeping a steady pace. Moravia's like, don't talk to Rio because I'm in love with you. Since the moment you were born and I saw you as a baby. Weirdo. That should be really weird, but Ibuki's just strange, so. He was also a child at the time, so. Although his, like, thought process and, like, you were the most beautiful creature I'd ever seen. It feels more disturbing than it is. You know what I mean? You're like, that's a little disturbing. But at the same time, you've never known anything outside the lab. So it's not as weird as it comes out. You know what I mean? Rio gave me a sideways glance and resumed speaking.
Aren't you tired?
Yeah, but complaining won't do anything. I need to get Lizzie somewhere she can rest, so I'll do everything I can to push through. I tried to sound tough, but I was worried. The antibody shot Lizzie was given, will it really work?
Do you doubt it?
I'm just worried.
Relax. If it wasn't working, she would have already started vectorizing by now. But she hasn't shifted. She's good.
Oh, that's great. Dread washed over me when I heard the word vectorizing. I shook it off.
You're slowing down again.
Oh, sorry. It was hard to keep a fast pace when you were distracted. I tried to focus on my steps.
You're all over the place. Stop it.
Huh?
And just keep a steady pace. It's especially important when the terrain's rough, like how it is here.
I see. He's worried I'm going to wear myself out, so he's giving me advice. Rio seemed to be showing kindness in his own rough way. I smiled. Thanks for the advice. I'll give that a try.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, he kind of smirked at us. We walked on as the days slipped by, though we stopped for small breaks here and there. I took on Lizzie carrying duty again. Thanks to Rio's advice, I kept my pace steady and didn't exhaust myself. Finally, our destination appeared on the horizon. Look, that's where we live. Moravia pointed. I looked ahead and saw a colony's domed roof. Is that? Even from far off, it looked pretty run down. Clearly hadn't been populated in decades and had fallen into ruin. It's quiet. Comfortable, too.
The colony's water treatment and sewer systems are still operational. It has electricity, too. It's not fancy, but it's enough to sustain life.
I never could have pictured what Moravia's home would look like. I was relieved to see it was normal and not some fey dimension. We're the only ones living there, but I think you'll really like it. Moravia's use of the word we made me clutch reflexively at Lizzie. When you say we, do you mean Hyuga and Yukonami live here too? Of course. And Vectors. Lots and lots of Vectors. Oh, that's nice. Vectors too. My stomach flipped. We'd faced off against Vectors just hours ago. But Moravia gave me a reassuring smile and gestured ahead. And now that you're here, there's so much I want to tell you. Right. I suddenly recall what Moravia said to me when she attacked Theta. You're still completely in the dark. You won't be able to save anyone at this rate. Maybe she was right. And Lizzie was the one who paid the price. Hold on. Sorry, I have an itch. I can't keep pretending I'm not involved in any of this. Going forward, I have to make sure I know everything. I pressed my lips together in determination and hugged Lizzie close to my chest. I brought Lizzie all the way out here. I'm responsible for her. Feeling somewhat more courageous, I was about to follow Moravia when Rio muttered behind me.
Sometimes the truth brings more pain than satisfaction. And don't forget that.
Huh?
Oh, nothing.
With that, Rio walked on ahead. The truth brings more pain than satisfaction. What does he mean by that? When I worked with the Blooms, I never really got to speak with him, so this was our first real chance to talk. Still don't know what his deal is. At least he doesn't seem like a bad guy. That said, he seems to be in the know about all the things Moravia wants to tell me. I shook my head to clear my thoughts and hurried after the others before they left me behind. We entered the ruined colony of Tau, which bristled with crumbling buildings. It looked nothing like my home colony Theta. I hadn't realized that even the tallest, fanciest buildings would decay if they're not maintained. Everything humankind made was ultimately tiny and fragile against time and entropy. The realization shocked me a little. But not all of it was falling to the ground. One thing stands out. There are Vectors here, everywhere, but they're not hostile. They're as quiet as kittens. It felt weird to see them like this. I only knew them as violent beasts. I wasn't sure if they weren't attacking because Moravia was near, or because they were a more docile breed. I relaxed a little. I looked over at Rio. He didn't seem very interested in our surroundings. Made me think again about how odd he was. Wow, they're really here! I looked over to the source of the voice and saw two figures walking toward us. Their names were Yukonami and Hyuga, right? Yukonami seemed unimpressed and Hyuga just looked sour. They both walked up to me. My body tensed up, already well aware of what they were capable of. Then a hand came down on my shoulder. It's all right. Moravia gave me a reassuring smile. Right, I trust Moravia. That's why I came here. I have to continue to trust her.
What are your plans for them, Moravia?
Spacey and Lizzie are going to live here now. Hyuga, Yukonami, don't attack them. You hear me?
Shh, fine.
Yeah, got it. Both of them agreed with Moravia's order. It was a bit anticlimactic, really. I was expecting more of a protest on their part. Girl, dumb bitch. Like, I guess Moravia is really someone they look up to and respect. But I only felt a moment of relief. For some reason, Hugo had started glaring at Rio.
You! When your business is done, get out! And that's the plan. To blow a fuse. I'll be gone before you know it. I only dropped by for a quick visit.
Rio turned on his heel and walked off. Wow, that's some hostility from Rio. And Moravia didn't even stop Hugo from threatening him. Then I realized something. Oh no, I didn't properly thank Rio for his help. I need to grab him before he leaves. Moravia, can you handle Lizzie for a moment?
Sure.
Thank you, I'll be right back. I handed Lizzie over to Moravia, then ran after Rio as fast as I possibly could. He should still be close by. There he is. I spotted Rio from behind, walking between some buildings. I called out as I dashed over. Rio, please wait a minute.
Huh? What? What do you want?
Thank you very much. I appreciate your help today. I feel like I appreciate your help today. Nope, it's just thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much. Maybe because it's more proper? Rio's eyes widened in surprise. If you hadn't helped me, I never could have gotten Lizzie out of there. Thank you so much, Rio.
You came running after me just to say that?
Yeah, I realized I hadn't thanked you yet, so I kind of panicked for a second, but I'm so glad I caught you in time. Rio looked away in response to my heartfelt appreciation.
No need to thank me. I only helped because I felt like it.
Something about his attitude was curious. He seems more than standoffish, like maybe he's resigned to something. I wasn't sure why I got that impression. Maybe the casual way Rio dismissed my thanks was because he was embarrassed. He's generally apathetic about the world, as if he's disconnected from what's going on, and yet he's always helping behind the scenes. Rio supported the Blooms, and at the same time, he acted as a spy for the Vector's side. There was no way he wasn't deeply involved. I continued to stare, appraising him until he sighed.
Are you trying to burn a hole in me? Or is my face just so interesting you're compelled to study every angle?
I mean, sir. Oh, sorry.
If you're done talking, I'm leaving.
Rio turned to leave as if deciding for himself that I was done. I still had things I wanted to ask him. I wanted to call him back, but I wasn't sure I had what it took to convince him. Rio, hold on a minute. Someone called from behind me. Rio stopped. Huh? Who's that? I turned to the voice, thinking it belonged to Hugo or Yukonami, but it was neither of them. You're like, oh, who's this beautiful boy? Huh? I feel like I've seen this person's face before. Yeah, but kind of reversed. I flipped through my memories. That's right, I met him in Theta and... Ibuki, it's you, isn't it? The young man Ibuki nodded with a smile. It is. I'm happy you remembered me. What are you doing here? His presence made no sense. Last time I met him, it was all the way back in Theta. And this is me for now. Huh? What do you mean? Ibuki's words made no sense, but in the next moment I was treated to a revelation. In other words, I'm Ibuki. And I'm Moravia. I'm both. What? I blinked, stunned. I was definitely a few steps behind. Moravia had shifted into Ibuki right before my eyes. Speechless, I turned to look at Rio, who was watching us silently. Seeing the question in my eyes, he nodded.
Yeah, I knew.
A bit of a shock, isn't it? You can say that again, but how is it even possible? It's just a bit of a quirk I have. When I was younger, whenever I used my powers, I'd turn into Moravia. Moravia shifted back to Ibuki as she spoke, not missing a beat. And this is my original form, though. I've learned how to use my powers as Ibuki, too. I see. I was pretty shocked, but at the same time I could roll with Ibuki's gender swapping. Ibuki and Moravia were simply one and the same. And when Ibuki smiled at me, I realized how alike he was to Moravia. Ibuki, always seemed a bit different. Guess it makes sense now. That's when I realized Ibuki was empty-handed. Hey, where's Lizzie? I handed her over to Yukonami. And don't worry, I told him to treat her with the utmost care. Oh, good, thanks. Ibuki waved as if to say it's not a problem, before shifting his gaze from me to Rio.
So, Rio, I have a small favor to ask of you. All right, we can talk while we walk.
Rio and Ibuki began their discussion and headed off. I wasn't sure if I should follow, so I just stood and watched them go. They're gone.
Hey, you!
I nearly jumped out of my skin when a voice came from behind me. I turned to see Yukonami with a Cheshire grin. Whoa, Mr. Yukonami, was
it? Mister, talk about excessive. Ibuki asked me to show you around. Oh, and he gave me something to hold too.
Yukonami nodded down at Lizzie in his arms. You brought Lizzie! Thank you. I told him I'd take over and asked him to pass Lizzie to me.
Alright, if we're set, come with me. I'll give you both the grand tour.
Okay, thank you. I followed Yukonami, holding Lizzie in my arms. Poor Lizzie doesn't even get to be put in a bed. They're just dragging her ass everywhere. Yukonami brought us to a building that was in surprisingly good condition compared to the others. The interior was patched up and livable, and much cleaner than it looked from the outside.
Ibuki said you two are going to live here. There's no shortage of rooms, so pick one.
Thank you. I really want to give Lizzie a chance to rest. I asked Yukonami for his opinion on the best room, and he led us to one in particular.
How about this?
The room was sparsely furnished, but it looked clean, so I carried Lizzie in and laid her down on the bed. Now Lizzie can finally rest. During the long journey here, Lizzie never once opened her eyes. Her condition was pretty dire. But now that she was lying on the bed, I could tell that at least she wasn't in pain. In fact, she was snoring faintly. She got the Vector antibody, so hopefully the worst is over. I left Lizzie on the bed and asked Yukonami to continue the tour. Yukonami said he was showing me around on orders from Ibuki, but he seemed to enjoy himself. He smiled as he answered my questions.
What's ours is yours. Take whatever you need.
The building and all the essential amenities, everything necessary to live a slightly rugged life. At least nothing felt like it was missing. That reminds me, on the way over, Rio said that this colony still has clean water and electricity.
If you need anything else, well, you should probably ask Hyuga or Ibuki.
Okay, got it. If I need anything, I'll ask.
Next, it's time for grub. Come on.
Yukonami led me out of the building again. Oh, it's dark outside, but it really doesn't feel like the day's already gone. Wait, the sky's just the colony's dome ceiling, right? It's barely anything but ruins, but it really is completely functional.
What you staring at the sky for?
Oh, I was just thinking how unusual it is.
Huh? You think so? It's the same sky as in any other colony.
Yukonami looked at me curiously, and we chatted about Tau as we walked. I was initially scared of the Vectors wandering around, but they were all quite docile. I got used to them pretty quickly. Hard to believe these things attacked Theta. Same goes for Yukonami and Hyuga. They seem very different from the people we fought. Suddenly I thought of Rio. Can I ask you something?
Curious about me, eh? I don't blame you.
Yikes! Don't sound so excited. A little curious, maybe, but I was wondering why Rio is so mysterious. Yukonami's shoulders slumped ever so slightly when he realized I wasn't asking about him, but he responded anyway.
What's Rio got that I don't? Fine. What you want to know?
Does Rio come here often? Is he a friend of the Vectors or something?
He comes often, yeah, but he's not a friend. I don't ever really talk to him, and Hyuga can't stand the guy.
Yeah, that's the impression I got from their confrontation back there.
Hold on a sec. Wasn't he originally a pal of yours?
I hesitated for a second, wondering if I should reveal exactly how Rio and I knew each other. No, if Ibuki knows, then there's no point in me hiding it. Yeah, Rio helped the Blooms out back in Theta. Yukonami didn't seem particularly surprised to hear how we were connected. He simply nodded.
I see. Hyuga's always saying how Rio keeps popping up like a nasty weed. Guess he's right about that. I don't know the details, but I do know he brought Ibuki the intel.
Huh? He did? Now that Yukonami mentioned it, I can imagine Ibuki asking Rio to help get Lizzie and I out of Theta. If that was the case, it made sense to believe that he'd been in secret contact with Ibuki for a while now.
He's probably fed you all plenty of intel, too. I don't know what his game is, but meh, who cares?
I don't know. I haven't saw Rio with the commander, but could their meetings have anything to do with sharing enemy information? I mean, technically, yeah, kinda. In that case, he's infiltrated both groups. So whose side is he really on? I wasn't even sure if Yukonami was telling the truth, but I felt like I'd swallowed a bug nonetheless. If Ryo's working both sides at once, what possible motive could he have for taking that risk? That's the question. Well, I mean, to be fair, we also know that the commander is kind of helping both sides. But in a way, it's really more he's trying to protect us because he doesn't necessarily... But he's like, again, doing as much as he can do, being in the tough spot that he is. And we at least know that Misaki is keeping in touch with Yashima. But Ryo is a wild card. We don't really exactly know his deal, you know? Hey, this kind of talk is boring. Hyuga's got dinner ready, so let's hurry over. Oh, okay. I guess he's done talking about Ryo already. Huh. More importantly, Yukonami, did you say that Hyuga has dinner ready? Yukonami blinked at me as if he had no idea why I'd asked something so painfully obvious. Yeah, so? So, Hyuga cooks? Yeah, he always cooks the meals. I thought about Hyuga in battle and remembered how fearsomely he'd handled his guns. He always cooks. You don't take turns? Nope. Hyuga's a great cook, although once in a while he makes something that tastes like it's from another planet. Hyuga cooking? I still couldn't picture it. The trade-off is that Hyuga's a pain to eat around. He's like, sit up, don't talk with your mouth full. There really are all kinds of people in the world. Hearing about the others' everyday lives made it easier to relate to them. Yukonami took me by the arm and guided me to the dining area. I'm back! After eating, I returned to Lizzie's room. I announced my return out of habit. It wasn't like Lizzie could respond to me. Dinner was really good. As Yukonami promised, Hyuga cooked over an open fire for some reason. I've never eaten outdoors before, but it was pretty fun. Ibuki, Yukonami, Hyuga, and I ate together. Ryo must have left the colony already. At any rate, he wasn't at the table. I was shocked at how good the meal was. Hyuga was a better cook than I'd imagine. The soup is so good! Right? Hyuga's cooking is the best. Yukonami beamed as if I'd complimented him personally by praising the soup. Ibuki nodded too. Hear that? She said it's good, Hyuga. That's a change. You two usually wolf down whatever I make without so much as a thank you. As Hyuga bellyached, he shot the others an exasperated look. Hey, we know you're a good cook. Why waste our breath pointing it out? Quit arguing. Maybe he really just wants the others to tell him he's a good cook now and again. Their banter was surprisingly human. I could sense the friendship between them. Until now, I'd only regarded them as enemies. I was surprised by how quickly my opinions of them had changed. Ryo said this world is huge. No doubt there's still tons of things out there that I know nothing about. Seeing just part of the world had already changed my personal values in numerous ways. Hey, Ibuki, earlier you said that I know nothing. You were Moravia at the time, but you do remember saying it, right? I have to wonder how much I'll learn from being here. That all depends on you. Ibuki paired his response with a warm smile. But you have time. Think it over at your leisure while you're here. I nodded firmly. I'll live here for a while and see what I can, then I'll draw my own conclusions. When we finished eating, Hyuga gave me a tray to take to Lizzie. I thanked him and returned to the building with the food. I checked on Lizzie as soon as I got back, but she was still fast asleep. She hasn't even woken up once. This can't be good. I'd come this far hoping Lizzie could be saved, but worry gnawed at me. Lizzie... I called out her name quietly. There was no response. I had no idea what else to do, so I kept calling her name softly. Hey, Lizzie... After repeating her name several times, Lizzie finally stirred. Her eyelids fluttered. She's like, Bitch, I'm trying to sleep. God! Lizzie this, Lizzie that. Let a bitch rest. Lizzie? I held my breath and watched as Lizzie slowly opened her eyes and groggily looked around the room. Where am I? Lizzie, you're awake! I breathed a huge sigh of relief. I could hear Lizzie's voice and see her eyes focus on mine. That was everything. She was still woozy, probably not fit for an exposition dump. I decided I'd explain everything later. You can relax. This is a safe place. Look, I brought you dinner. The soup's very good. Please try to eat some. With my encouragement, Lizzie decided to eat. She drank the soup very slowly and ate one small piece of bread at a time. Lizzie seemed to only vaguely remember what happened when the Vector attacked her, so I'd promised I'd explain everything tomorrow. After eating, Lizzie lay back down and went back to sleep. Phew, now that I know Lizzie's okay, I'm exhausted. The walk from Theta to Tau wasn't exactly a stroll. I traveled a very long distance today. My body felt like a sack of bricks. I should probably turn in for the night, too. I headed to the room I was using and flopped down on the bed. Sleep crept up on me straight away. That night I slept deeply and dreamlessly. The next few days were uneventful, but quite enjoyable. In time, I not only got to know Ibuki, but Hyuga and Yukonami too. I began seeking them out to have conversations. Yukonami was definitely a people person, so he always enjoyed chatting with me. Hyuga's stony face never softened, but he always responded to me when I spoke to him. And the food he made was delicious. Not that I should drop my guard entirely, but they don't seem like bad guys. I'm used to the sight of Vectors roaming around freely too. They never showed a bit of aggression when I walked outside, so I stopped fearing them. My whole perception of the Vectors changed. A big part of that switch admittedly came from me discovering that the Vectors who lived in Tau had once been human. The day after we came to Tau, Ibuki explained Lizzie's condition to me. Without the antidote, Lizzie would have turned into a full Vector. So you mean she's not human now? Indeed. She's no longer purely human, but neither is she quite a Vector. If the shot had been administered any later, we wouldn't have been able to stop the shift. But she's not a mindless Vector, which means the shot Ryo gave her worked. I need to thank him when I see him next. After hearing the story from Ibuki, I told Lizzie what had happened to her. Of course it shook her up to learn she was no longer human and now something more akin to a sentient Vector, but she took it in stride. Still, the attack in Theta made her wary around Tau's Vectors, even though they were tame, so I tried to stay by her side as much as possible. Lizzie's naturally bubbly personality soon won over both Yukonami and Ibuki, and even Hyuga seemed okay with her. For the first time in ages, I feel like I'm at peace. Yeah, listen, I feel like, okay, Lizzie, I could see you with Yukonami, you could be pals with him, but, nothing else. But, Hyuga and Lizzie, fine. Not Ibuki, though. Don't touch him. He's my man. Don't touch my man. My point of view had undergone rapid changes in just a few days. I feel like maybe I'm no longer as clueless as Moravia said. I found out the Vectors were once humans, and I'd seen the human side of Ibuki's group. It was already a huge shift from before, if I had to give her one of our blooms. I'd probably say Mihaya. Because he's sweet and adorable and okay. But I'm not sure, even though Kamui isn't one of my favorites, I still really liked his route a lot. And he kind of has a little special place in my heart now. Because oh, I still kind of like you. I don't know. I feel like MC and Kamui were really sweet together. So I was I don't know if I could give him up. But as much as I like Mihaya, it's yeah, I could set him up with Lizzie. That'd be fine. I'm cool with that. Yukonami just stays everybody's friends. He goes to nobody's man harem. And listen, Ayamu was a little obsessed with his sister, but I didn't get the weird. I didn't find that really creepy and inappropriate. It was simmer down though, sir. God, your sister can protect. I understand his weird overprotectiveness, so it wasn't really a turnoff for me. I still think he's pretty. He's not my favorite, but also I don't know. It's kind of like one of those, well, but he's kind of pretty, so I don't know, Lizzie. Could I give you one of my boyfriends? I don't know. And you can't have Tokyo or Ibuki. Absolutely fucking not. And I'm about to romance Ryo, so you can't really have him right now either. And you can't date my uncle, because that would be fucking weird. You're not going to be Auntie Lizzie. Gross. And if anyone's going to bone the commander, it's going to be me, because as airheaded and ditzy and whatever flaky as he seems, I fucking love him, so. But I've given Lizzie, Hyuga, and Mihaya, they're actually both really good characters, so my friend could be happy with I'd be okay with that. You know what I mean? Normally you don't want your boyfriends finding love
with someone else when you're not in their route, but like, I'd be okay with that. I mean, if she wanted to date Yukonami, I suppose, but I'd be really concerned for her if she did, because, like, I'm concerned for us for dating Yukonami. Poor Yukonami. He seems like a fun character, but when he gets a little weird and choky, that was disturbing. Outside of his route, he's perfectly fine. Like, he's a good boy. He's fun to be around. He seems nice and a little goofy and a little crazy, but, like, whatever. But in his route, it got a little disturbing. You know, I was like, take a step back. You know, if he's just the way you saw him in every other route, you know, you can have him too, Lizzie. There you go. Anyway, I found out the Vectors were once humans, and I'd seen the human side of a... Okay, we're already huge... Okay. But I wondered if Ibuki meant something else when he said I didn't know anything. Maybe I'll ask Ibuki to tell me more today. Lizzie knocked on the door and peered in as I was going over my thoughts. Hey, Species! Oh, hi, Lizzie. What's up? I was thinking of helping Hugo with today's meal. I feel bad he's stuck with all the cooking. That's true. She bakes and he cooks. They'd be perfect together. Absolutely. Okay. You know what? I'll ship it. Oh, that's perfect for Lizzie. She loves cooking. I was thinking of asking Yukonami to join us. Oh, she's already like collected her thruple over here. Girl, high five. Go for it. Yukonami, huh? He probably hates cooking. Yeah, I asked him yesterday and he took off. I'll try again today. Either way, I'll help Hyuga. Glad to see you're getting along. Just be careful. I see glad to see you're getting along. Yeah, because, like, it seems like you're having fun. I'm so glad you're getting along with everyone. It's all thanks to you. Me? What'd I do? I couldn't think of anything, but Lizzie shook her head at my blank stare. I don't really want to pet you. Last time I pet you, you bit me really hard because you nasty bird. It's hard warming up to a new place and getting along with strangers. Like, really hard, you know? But I can do anything if you're with me, so I had the courage to make friends here. You're my security blanket. I see. Well, I'm glad I helped you out. Lizzie's smile made me blush a little. But wow, Lizzie is amazing. Not everyone can make friends with strangers in such a short time. That takes talent. See, and you're biting me. You're being a jerk. How about you? Want to help cook? I'm gonna go and talk to Ibuki for a bit. I see. Alrighty then. I didn't have to worry about Lizzie if she was with Hyuga and Yukonami, so we decided we'd split up and do different things today. And we'll go search for Ibuki, probably run into Rio, I would guess, because it's his route, but yeah, we'll do that next time. So, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.